On December 10, 1964, at 9 o'clock p.m., everyone in Martoni's Italian restaurant was looking at Sam Cooke. This was nothing completely new to him. You see, from the moment that he hit the soul music scene, the ladies always had an eye on him. But all of the attention was amplified now. On October the 1st, just 2 months earlier, he had released his newest album, Sam Cooke at the Copa, and it was very well received, so he was very hot and on everyone's radar. He was moving on up, getting ready to make the crossover from the all-black rhythm and blues charts to compete with his white counterparts on the rock and roll charts. He was on his way to Sammy Davis Jr. and Nat King Cole type fame. But not only would Sam Cooke at the Copa be his last album, Martoni's would be the last restaurant he would visit. December 10th would be his last full day, because before the sun rose on December 11th, Sam Cooke would be dead. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the follow-up video that many of you had been requesting ever since I made the video called The Real Story Behind Bobby Womack marrying Sam Cooke's wife and sleeping with his daughter. If you haven't already seen that video, you can check it out here. My apologies in advance for the bad sound quality. I just didn't know what I was doing. Okay, sorry. Anyway, this video is the first in our series called Sam Cooke Death Conspiracies. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can see all of the videos in this series, and you will know every time that I upload another old school scandal video or I live stream. And comment, I subscribed, so that I can say hello to you in the comments section. We will start this series with the most widely known and reported story regarding Sam Cooke's death. Then we will move on to other possibilities. I leave it up to you to decide which story you believe, or if you believe none of these theories at all. So, disclaimer, everything in all of the videos in this series all allegedly happened, because clearly everything in every theory could not have all happened. And also, if there is a Sam Cooke death theory that you believe to be true, put it in the comments section and let's get a discussion going. Now, on to why you are here. Sam Cooke death conspiracy theory number 1. Sam Cooke was having dinner that night at Martoni's with Al and Joan Schmitt. Al was a music producer. Other diners kept walking by their table, congratulating Sam on his new album. Sam Cooke had 4 martinis, and then he got pulled away from their table to join some people at the bar in the restaurant. After Sam went to the bar, the food that he and the Schmitts ordered arrived at their table. So, Al went to the bar to grab Sam and let him know. When Al approached the bar, he saw Sam laughing with a group of people. Sam was buying drinks for everyone at the bar and flashing his cash, and he had a lot of it. It appeared that he had thousands of dollars and a big wad of bills. Sam told Al to go back to the table and just enjoy dinner with his wife. Sam would be entertaining his friends at the bar that night. Not far from the bar, a young woman was staring at Sam. She was Elisa Boyer, a name that I know you are familiar with if you know anything about any of the Sam Cooke death stories. In case you don't know her name, she was a 22-year-old Asian woman whose name you'll hear a lot more in this series. But at this moment, she is just a cute girl who a guitar player introduced to Sam Cooke. Clearly, she had made quite an impression on Sam Cooke, because by 1 o'clock in the morning on December 11th, he had put her in his brand new red Ferrari and drove her to a nightclub. The nightclub was called PJ's. Sam was on his way there to meet the Schmitts, Al and Joan, who he had just ditched for dinner at Martoni's. But by the time Sam and Elisa got to PJ's, the Schmitts had already left. Sam and Elisa stayed to have some fun until Sam ended up getting into an argument with another man who was coming on to Elisa. She asked Sam to take her home. They ended up leaving PJ's around 2 a.m., about an hour after they arrived. Elisa said Sam sped down Santa Monica Boulevard. She begged him not to get on the freeway, but he did. She told the police that she asked Sam to take her home, but he wouldn't. He told her, "Don't worry, I just want to go for a little ride." Then he began to stroke her hair and tell her how pretty she was. They exited the freeway near the LAX airport. Elisa again asked Sam to take her home, but instead, Sam drove her to El Segundo, the Hacienda Motel to be exact, a seedy little place catering to, let's say, very short-term visitors, well known for its $3 an hour rates. Sam left Elisa in the car while he went to get them checked in. He registered under his real name, Sam Cooke. The clerk on duty that night was Bertha Franklin. When Bertha saw Elisa Boyer in Sam's car, she told him that he would have to sign them both in as Mr. and Mrs. Cooke. Were sleazy little airport motels really clocking people like that back in the day? That seemed strange. Anyway, after Sam got them checked in, he drove around to the back of the motel to get to their room. Elisa maintains that she never wanted to have sex or go to a motel with Sam, so even after he checked them into the motel, she claims that he had to drag her into the room. Pause. I generally believe women when they say that they have been in a position to be assaulted. It happens all too often. But if Elisa didn't want to go to a motel, but saw him pulling up to a motel, and she still didn't want to go to a motel, but she saw him go to the front desk to register for a room at the motel, didn't she have a chance to get out of the car and run while he was inside registering with Big Bertha? Just a thought, but I digress. Elisa says that after he dragged her into the room, he pinned her onto the bed and started tearing off her clothes. She told the police, "I knew he was going to rape me." She went into the bathroom and tried to lock the door, she says, but she couldn't because the latch was broken. She says that she tried to exit through the window, but the window was painted shut. So she came out of the bathroom, back into the room to find a naked Sam Cooke. She says that he groped her and then he went into the bathroom. Huh? Am I the only one thinking that this story makes absolutely no sense? Anyway, Elisa says that while he was in the bathroom, she grabbed her clothes and ran out, wearing nothing but her bra and a slip. She ran to the night manager's door, pounded on it, and got no answer from Bertha Franklin. Elisa says that after that, she ran half a block and dumped her clothes on the ground, and then got dressed. Sam's clothes were tangled in with hers. She left his clothes on the ground. Is this the part where you all are wondering if this was all just about a plot to steal the cash that Sam Cooke had on himself that night? Because that's what I'm wondering right about now, but I digress. After she left his clothes on the ground, she found a telephone booth and called the police and told them that she had been kidnapped. And just for the record, I realize that her name is Elisa, not Eliza, but it's the lies for me, you guys, right now. I just think that this woman is full of lies. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the motel, Sam had come out of his motel room to look for Eliza, wearing nothing but his sports jacket and one shoe. He drove his Ferrari back to the manager's office. He hopped out of the car and banged on the door, yelling, "Is the girl in there?" Bertha told him no, she wasn't. She also told the police that she had been previously warned by another motel resident that a prowler was on the premises, so she didn't want to open the door. Then Sam began to try to open the door until he rammed it open with his shoulder. He caused the door to rip off of the frame and the door latch to give. He busted in, looking around for Elisa. He grabbed Bertha's wrist and asked her, "Where is the girl?" And then Sam and Bertha got into a physical altercation. Bertha was shorter than Sam, so he had a reach advantage over her, but she had the weight advantage, outweighing him by 30 pounds. Among other things, she told the police, quote, "He fell on top of me. I tried to bite him through that jacket, biting, scratching, and everything. Finally, I got up when I kicked him. I run and grabbed the pistol off the TV and I shot at close range 3 times." End quote. Well, what a horrible shot she must have been, because 2 bullets completely missed, at close range, like she says. But the one that hit was fatal. It entered his left side, went through his left lung, then his heart, and then his right lung. Sam fell back and said his last 4 words, "Lady, you shot me." Bertha claimed that after that shot, he still got up again and ran at her. She then hit him over the head with a broom handle. He stayed down for good. When the police arrived at Hacienda Motel, Sam Cooke was dead. At 6 in the morning on December 11th, Barbara Cooke had just been made aware of her status change from Sam Cooke's wife to Sam Cooke's widow. News reporters and fans were gathering at their house while she was trying to shield her young children from all of these people and their hysteria. 5 days later, there was a coroner's inquest. Elisa Boyer and Bertha Franklin retold their stories. The whole proceeding happened so quickly that Sam's lawyer barely got to ask one question. The blood alcohol concentration test for Sam Cooke showed his blood alcohol level at 0.16, which was twice the legal limit. Sam's credit cards were missing. There was some cash, but everything in me believes that at the very least that night, Sam Cooke was the victim of a robbery gone terribly bad. When his body was retrieved, though the credit cards were gone, his money clip was in his jacket pocket. The money clip had a total of $108 in it. The shooting was ruled a justifiable homicide, and with that, the case was closed on the death of the King of Soul, Sam Cooke. Now, if you were anything like I am, this story leaves you with a lot of questions. One thing that pops into my mind immediately is that everyone remembers seeing Sam at Martoni's with that huge wad of cash. Everyone said that there must have been thousands that he was flashing. He bought some drinks for people, took Elisa to a nightclub, and a cheap motel that he likely paid less than $30 for, depending on how long he planned on renting Elisa's services. Now, Joan Schmitt, the wife who Sam stood up for dinner that night, she specifically says that he probably had at least $5,000 on him. So why is it that he only had $108 when his body was found? Am I the only one who finds that odd? Do you have some questions about these details in this story? I know that you do. So let me tell you what's coming up in this series. We're going to do a video on the questions that we have about why this official story just doesn't add up for a lot of people who have read it or heard it. So comment your questions that make this story seem fishy to you. And if you are really interested in Sam Cooke and you would like to have a live stream discussion where you all can join me on a panel and talk about any of this, let me know that in the comments as well, especially if you're willing to come and get up on camera with me and have a talk about it. And stay tuned for even more videos in this series. In the meantime, if you haven't already seen my most popular video to date, I will link it in the description box for you. It is the story of how Bobby Womack married Sam Cooke's wife and slept with Sam Cooke's daughter after Sam Cooke died. Your response to that video is what got me started on making these old school scandal videos, and I am so glad that you enjoy them. I am truly grateful to you all. Again, the sound on that particular video is horrible, but forgive me, I just didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to get the story out to you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ty Said What Ty Said channel. Please leave a thumbs up and comment so that we can get a discussion going. And share this video on all of your social media, especially your Facebook. That really helps me out a lot. And subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can know when my next video is ready for you. And if you don't like what I'm saying, but you love it, feel free to hit that applaud button just below your video screen there and send me some
donations.
Yeah, baby. See you on the next video.